So, guys, it looks like the Supreme Court has gutted affirmative action in college admissions, and we saw this coming last year. And I think it's time to admit that Republicans are just better politicians than Democrats. I don't mean that they're better people, I'm saying that they're better at playing politics because everything that they have been trying to do within the last 40 years, they're starting to accomplish right now. They know how to play the long game and they know how to stay unified, unlike Democrats, who've bickered amongst each other and can't even support each other to come to form a strong voting bloc, even when they're in power. Even when the Democrats hold both houses of Congress, they can barely get anything done. Yes, I know they have a small majority, but that's not the only problem. The other problem is that you'll have a bunch of people that won't even agree the with the Democratic agenda, whatever that is. So they can rarely ever get things done. Meanwhile, the Republicans move like an army, even when they are in the minority. um, and they're just better at playing the long game at getting things done. Like they wanted to get rid of abortion for a long time. They finally did it. And it's the Democrats' fault because all the Democratic presidents and Democratic led Congresses we had, none of them ever decided to codify Roe versus Wade into law. So it's their fault that they lost that. And now we've lost affirmative action. And I have mixed views about both of those guys, okay? So, like I said, Republicans play the better game. Um, and also, they they know how to appeal to folks better. Whereas Democrats will gladly flaunt their academic elitism. Um, the fact of the matter is, the reason why Republicans are such savvy politicians is because they're very smart and educated. Most people think Republicans are a bunch of dumb rednecks. Maybe some of the some of the more trashy folks are, but the ones in power, no, they are academic elites just like the Democrats. The difference is they don't flaunt their academic elitism the way Democrats do. For instance, people think Ted Cruz is a moron. Ted Cruz is very educated. He's he went to Princeton for his undergrad and went to Harvard Law afterwards. He's very well accomplished, and he's not the only Republican. Many of them are very well accomplished in academic achievement. It's not something that they wear on their sleeves because that's not the brand that they promote. Democrats do. They want to proudly flaunt, their academic achievement, and whereas there may not be necessarily anything wrong with that, um, it comes off as elitism. Now, my own view is that I'm I like elitism because I like my leaders to be of the intellectually elite when it comes down to making decisions that affects my lives and those of others. But in any case, like I said, Republicans are academically elite, but they don't flaunt it unlike Democrats, so they can appeal to the masses, even though they may be actually wildly out of touch with many of their uh, policies that they want to get done. Yet they can do it because they get people on their side. And again, they can play the long game. They can move like an army and keep things going until they have policies in place. How long did they wait to finally stack the Supreme Court with conservative judges so they could get things rolling as they are right now? This is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, unless Clarence Thomas or one of those other guys retire anytime soon, it's going to remain a conservative led Supreme Court. Okay, sorry, but the thing the thing of some of those decisions, I'm not necessarily mad at them. Like the Roe versus Wade thing last year, I'm actually for abortion, but I'm against Roe versus Wade, and I know it's confusing to some people. But as I explained it in a older video a year ago, I always disagreed with Roe versus Wade when I found out that the woman in that case was basically some white woman from Texas who lied saying a black man raped her and got her pregnant just so that she could get out of a pregnancy that she didn't want. She wasn't raped. There was no black man that assaulted her, but she was willing to throw an innocent black man under the bus, if the case may be, just to get out of a unwanted pregnancy because she's unaccountable for her sexual behavior. Sounds familiar for American women. So I was glad when that was reversed. But if there's other reasons to have abortion on the books, they should do it. But that wasn't one of them, not at all. So I was glad the Roe versus Wade was reversed. Now we're seeing this thing with affirmative action, and again, I'm not mad at it, although I do support affirmative action. The problem is, like, as when you're looking at college admissions, reminds me of an old scene from this movie House Party 2. And I know if you're not Gen X, you probably don't know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about House Party 2, unless you're thinking of the new House Party reboot that just came out. But I'm talking about the original one from House Party 1 that was in 1990, and House Party 2, which I'm referring to right now, in 1991, right? With Kid and Play. So Kid went to college, and his professor was taking him to task for basically not doing his work and just thinking he's gonna skate by because his professor is black and should take it easy on him. And his professor told him no, that's profoundly wrong, and said that this perpetuates a problem in academics, that we don't really deserve to be here because we came here just because, oh, we can play ball, so we got a scholarship, or hey, we just got here because, you know, we're poor or something and we got some sort of scholarship, or no, we just got here because we're black. And the professor made that a very succinct thing, like, despite it being like a little campy type movie, that part was on par. You can tell that the producers really were trying to impart some lessons about black kids going to college in that movie. And it's true. The stain of affirmative action for the last 30 plus years is that people getting into college, black people particularly, I'm talking of here, only got there because of affirmative action and quotas, and probably don't really deserve to be there, and probably couldn't handle the caseload, which is why a bunch of them never finished their degrees. So this offsets that. Now, when we see people there, we know they got there because they deserve to be there. And I'm pretty sure a lot of them already were people who deserve to be in the spot that they got academically at whatever university or college. But it's always been that sting because of how poorly affirmative action policies have been implemented nationwide, that it always made it seem that black people were just getting a freebie and didn't really deserve to be in college, like harder working white and Asian students. And like I said, even though that may not be true, once you have that stereotype in place, it became nasty. So this helps mitigate that. And like I said, we can still have affirmative action. It just shouldn't have been race based. Like, we know that income inequality is a proxy for systemic racism. And I think that basing it on social economic status would have been a much better way to have meted out affirmative action policies other than based on race, because we already know that the majority of those poor folks that will be helped by such policies still are going to be black, as well as some indigenous and Latino people, people who actually need it. And the fact of the matter is, there's also very poor white and Asian folks that could use it too. Now, some people are gonna say Asians need it. Yeah, uh, Asians are not a monolithic group in America, and there's a lot of poor folks who are Southeast Asian and Pacific Islander that could use those policies as well, but they often get overlooked just by virtue of the fact that they're Asian. Which, like I said, that's a reason why affirmative action policies have been implemented poorly, because as long as it looks purely on race, it ignores which folks actually need it or not. So, again, not that upset that it was gutted, and we saw it coming last year. But like I said, there's still a case for affirmative action um, for folks of low income socioeconomic status. We'll see if that happens, but I, I'm guessing there will be some more cases coming along for the Supreme Court that's going to reverse a lot of long-standing liberal democratic um, agendas. We'll see. And I'm not trying to offend anyone here, because usually, as a contrarian, I usually say stuff to you know offend people, but this isn't it. I'm being genuine. Like I'm I'm of a mixed mind on these sort of things, but it happened, so I am just a contrarian.